Hi everyone, so I want to do a quick presentation on parabolas, which was a concept that I was going to cover near the end of this school year. So here's a presentation. So what is a parabola? So a parabola is a U-shaped curve that is formed when graphing a quadratic function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And just a reminder, a quadratic, you see that there's an exponent of 2 next to the variable, and that's the biggest exponent. So it's a U-shaped curve. A parabola is a U-shaped curve. All right, so here's some examples. On the left, you see a graph of y equals x squared. On the right, you see a graph of y equals negative x squared. And both of these are parabolas because both of these have that U-shaped curve. So because of that, these are parabolas. So here are more examples. On the left, you see y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. On the right, you see y equals negative x squared minus 8x minus 12. Again, you see that U-shaped curve for both of these graphs. So these are both parabolas as well. So pause this video, take a minute, see if you can create a table using the graph or the equation y equals x squared minus 4, and then we'll proceed. Okay, so once you're ready, move on. So you should have gotten that when x equals negative 2, y equals 0. When x equals negative 1, y equals negative 3. When x equals 0, y equals negative 4. When x equals 1, y equals negative 3. When x equals 2, y equals 0. So again, there could have been two ways you could have done this. One way is to just look at the graph and see which points are on the graph. So when x equals negative 2, what's the y coordinate, and so on. You could have done that, or you could have used the equation. You could have plugged in each x value for y equals x squared minus 4 and see what y you get. But if you did the second way, just be careful to use parentheses especially for the negative x values. If you don't put parentheses, you just leave that negative alone. For example, it would have been negative 4 minus 4 equals negative 8 without parentheses, but with parentheses, you would have gotten 4 minus 4, which is equal to 0. On the graph, you see it's y equals 0 when x equals negative 2. All right, there are going to be some characteristics of a parabola, so this is where there's some vocabulary that we need to learn. So let's just go through these slowly. So for a parabola, there's going to be a maximum or minimum point. There's going to be a high or low point, the tip. And we call this the vertex. So that's what we call the vertex, the highest or lowest point, or the maximum or minimum. The points where the graph touches the x-axis are called the x-intercepts or roots. You may also hear zeros. These are all words that describe the points where the graph touches the x-axis. The point where the graph touches the y-axis is called the y-intercept, something we've learned earlier this year. And the line that divides the parabola in half is called the axis of symmetry. And if you recall from maybe earlier math courses, you've heard that word symmetry. And so the line of symmetry or axis of symmetry is a line where you fold a shape or a graph along that line. It completely mirrors each other. The halves mirror each other and they completely overlap. So these are all the words that you need to know for this topic. So let's just go over some graphs and identify each part. So if we look at this graph, take a minute, see as much as you can, see if you can pause this video and see if you can identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the x-intercepts, and the y-intercept. Okay, so let's identify each part. The vertex is going to be 2, negative 1. So again, vertex is that tip, and it is a minimum point because it's the lowest point on the graph. So we call that a minimum. So 2, negative 1, that's the vertex. The axis of symmetry is x equals 2. So imagine you draw a line at x equals 2, a vertical line. If you draw that line completely mirrors both halves. And if you fold it along that line, you would see it completely overlaps. So the axis of symmetry is x equals 2. The x-intercepts roots are 1 and 3. That's where it intercepts the x-axis, and then the y-intercept is -3. So those are some points. So let's look at this graph now and see if you can identify the vertex, the line of axis of symmetry, the x-intercepts, and the y-intercept. Take a minute, pause this video, see what you get. Okay, so let's go over this. The vertex is 0, 9. And it's a maximum point because it's the highest point on the graph. The axis of symmetry is x equals 0, so draw a vertical line along x equals 0. That is the line of symmetry. That is a line that completely splits the graph in half, and each half mirrors the other. The roots, zeros, are -3 and +3. That's where they intersect the x-axis, and then the y-intercept is 9. So those are some characteristics of a quadratic. On Khan Academy, one of your assignments will have you identify certain characteristics of a parabola. So hopefully this will help you do that.